Are we doing a show now? What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets.
What?
The Denver Nuggets. What is up, everybody? Welcome into the pregame show.
Dude.
Here we go. The Nuggets at the end of a 6-game homestand. The final game, the punctuation mark, if you will, on what has been a pretty good, not great, but pretty good homestand here. And I'm joined by some homies. I got D-Line-Co.
Jesus. What's up, guys?
Mute your show?
Are you
computer?
kidding?
Literally,
Come on,
no one
man.
heard that. What's up, guys? Do you remember how we won that game? Nothing happened, and here we are.
What?
That 2 days ago, nothing happened. Everything was
all right.
Great. It's been solid vibes ever since.
I got Brendan Vogt over there.
Let's go, baby. First game note, Michael Malone said 4-2. We bickered about this at the end of the show. He said it would be outstanding. So Eric and I were right.
4-2. He said it would be outstanding. That was the word he used?
He said outstanding. We
I must
said
have
good,
just blocked that out of my head because, come on, outstanding. Malone's
it's
setting low bars
possible-
this year. I don't know if you guys have noticed. He's setting very low bars.
He's trying to perform with a severely undermanned staff. He's setting realistic expectations.
This is like how I'm coaching my daughter's 5-year-old basketball team. This is how I set expectations there, where I'm just like, as long as you're giggling, we're
Adam's
doing
like, if
good.
you guys go 4-2, despite the schedule loss,
I'm saying,
outstanding.
Listen. If Malone has his full complement of players and is still talking like this, I'll have an issue. Yeah. But I'm with it. I try to set the same level of expectation for folks.
I don't really, whatever. Anyway, ready to be here. Let's go Nuggets.
Every 5-year-old's favorite part of basketball at this age is water break.
Hell yeah,
these kids get so pumped when it's like go take a drink of Gator. Yeah.
By the way, as you start to get older, you become equally excited about water. It comes all the way back around.
It does come all the way around. We got a good show today, guys. We've been waiting for a moment to talk about this. George Karl, I got a clip I'm going to play a little bit later. He honestly, the boldest, George Karl, a man known to be bold. He's not afraid to be bold. He made a bold proclamation that he believes when it's all said and done, Jokic will be a top 10 player all time. We're going to talk about that. What would that mean? What would it take to get there? All of those things. We're going to talk about the rotation tonight. Guys, a lot of guys out. We'll talk about that. Boogie playing tonight, we expect. So we'll talk. Is Facu out the rotation? Is he in? What's going to happen? And, of course, we're going to try to make some money. But first, our game notes. Vote. Take us inside Ball Arena.
All right, so Boogie Cousins is not just active tonight, guys. Michael Malone says he will play. So there's your definitive word. Will Barton, who did pop up on the injury report, he will play. Jeff Green, JaMychal Green were late scratches. Then we got a later scratch. Bones Highland, non-COVID.
You got an even later scratch.
Non-COVID, but Bones Highland is out.
You have an even later scratch.
There was another one?
Another one. And this non-COVID illness is spreading, and I hope it's not dengue fever.
Since Bones, there's been another one?
Marcus Howard is also out.
Howard. Wait, who's going to...
Let's count our guards real quick. So you got Monte and Barton. You've got Facu. You've got Rivers. You got Reed. So you still have enough to field like a rotation.
Well, you have Facu.
There's just no mystery about who it's going to be. Honestly, in a way, you look at this, poor DeMarcus Cousins. Go out there, Facu Rivers. You got to carry it. It hasn't worked all year. Maybe DeMarcus Cousins was the missing ingredient.
So there you go. And then as we touched upon, Malone feels 4-2. Should they get it, would be outstanding. Biggest concern throughout the season, a number of peaks and valleys throughout one game.
What?
He didn't say nadir, bummed me out, but throughout one game, right? So consistency, which is really, Jokic has brought that up just about every chance he's gotten, podium games this year. This team, within one game, even the games that leave the most bitter taste in our mouths, they've looked great, haven't they, at times, first, second quarters. So just finding some, Jokic called it the golden middle last game, I believe. I might be butchering that translation, but something like that. Malone says we have to be better, have to be more consistent. Last 3 games, our defense has been awful. I think we're 30th in defensive rating over these games. That's a direct quote. On Cousins, Forbes, integrating new players, whenever you make a trade, that takes some time. Learning how to play with guys, off guys, learning terminology, that all takes time normally. But right now I'm paraphrasing, guys, day to day, I don't know who the hell is available. You add 2 new players and you want them to learn how to play with this guy. Well, this guy's not available tonight, and so on and so forth. Excuse me. Paloma coming up to bite. These games scare the hell out of me, Malone says, just because of the human nature aspect of it. Doesn't matter how much you say to your guys. These guys are playing well, talking about Detroit. Can't overlook them, right? It doesn't matter how many times you could say that to your own guys. The human nature aspect will crop up. Shouted out Trey Lyles, former Nuggets. He's playing well for them. Malone's happy for him, and he hopes he has another great game.
So can we talk about losing effort? Can we talk about this? He shouted out Trey Lyles as like a former Nugget. Really hope he has a great game and a losing effort tonight.
Yeah.
Always root for those former guys. I guess Jeremy Grant's not playing tonight, so it made it easy. It made it easy not to. Maybe that was the
Nothing for Mason
explanation.
Plumlee.
What's that?
Nothing. Oh wait, he's in Charlotte.
Yeah,
now.
he's in
That's
Charlotte
right.
now
Yeah,
too. So I
excuse me.
guess I'll let Malone off the hook here, but it would have been a nice little bird.
Well,
if he
I'm
was
glad you
like-
brought that up because that brings me to our Pistons injury report. Frank Jackson is out conditioning. Kelly Olynyk entered health and safety protocols. He's out. Killian Hayes was day-to-day with a hip issue. He's available tonight.
Okay.
Not sure if he's playing, but he's available. Luka Garza and then Jeremy Grant are out. They are with Motor City in a rehab stint right now. Grant had surgery about a month ago, tore his UCL ligament in his right thumb. So that's what he's been dealing with. He's still out tonight, or not with the Pistons, rather. And then Isaiah Livers, Eric, I know you were concerned about that. He's out with a foot as well.
Yeah.
He's been out since the 16th.
Next time Eric misses, I'm going to say the reason is conditioning. Eric's out tonight, conditioning.
Though, what?
Damn it, I just...
Eric is looking at the comments, dude.
Is like in his own brain right
He's
now.
checked out.
We're having a show. We're gonna the Detroit Pistons here for reference.
Am I supposed to just jump in and talk when Brendan's talking?
He did.
Adam,
toss
are you
it to me.
talking? Adam, are you talking?
They have a couple wins under their belt over these last 10 games for them that are kind of interesting. They beat Utah in what was probably Utah's worst loss of the season. They beat the Sacramento Kings. They beat the Toronto Raptors. And if you go all the way back 10 games, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks. So weirdly, like they're not the Detroit Pistons are not good. They've lost a lot of games and they've lost some by like 30 points.
Yeah.
But they do have Malone's right when he says that these are those concerning games as a coach because like we should win. Our margin for victory is probably, even with all the injuries, is probably pretty wide. But are these guys going to take this game with the sense of urgency that I have? I don't know. You got a 6-game road trip that comes up starting tomorrow. Did guys try to get one last little party in with the family or something before? I mean, you never know. So I share his concern for tonight.
The one thing that they have working in their favor is that the last game was so miserable. Like at the way that it ended. Oh, Adam, turning up your volume. What's wrong with you? We're doing a goddamn show. God, I love instant karma. It's so beautiful, isn't
The
it?
children up here.
And it is an every other game, which, as you know, works in the favor of the Denver Nuggets. So, you know, like
But they play them twice. Are they going to win one, lose one, Detroit?
oh man, wow, really tempting old fate here.
Yeah, really testing.
Well, they might, but I feel good about tonight's game in that
I'm
case.
suddenly nervous for this game. Just this pregame show. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
talk
move
me
it on. We're
onto
going to
the
talk
ledge.
about some more about this game here in just a second
I have
when we get to the
starters.
rotation. Oh, you have starters?
Oh, let's hear it.
According to
Let's hear it.
Blackburn, starters are Morris, Rivers, Barton, Gordon, Jokic.
So they end up
Rivers.
going small, yeah. So rather than just replace Jeff Green, I guess there's nobody really to replace him. So they just move Rivers, and who did not play, goes from a DMP to a starting job here.
Dude,
so
the Ballad of Austin Rivers is so wild.
Oh,
by the way.
Kale,
What
dude.
the hell's wrong with
Oh,
everybody
what's
in there?
everybody
Oh.
doing? Everybody
Wow.
turn off the volume. Come on.
Goddamn
Am I
amateur
gonna get out
hour
on
up in this
skate?
place. But the Ballad of Austin Rivers, like he's out and then he's our only option. So like there's like really like he's either closing games
season is so
or
dumb.
not entering the game at any point.
You know how weird it's going to be next season when like the same starting lineup just plays most games?
I know
Knock
we're
on wood.
like, what the hell? Like,
Wait, we're not calling up somebody from the G League to start tonight? What's going on here? We're not signing someone to a 10-day
yeah,
to
we're
save
like
us?
Brendan. Who are the starters? He's like, you know.
You
We're
know
like,
who the
we do
same,
know.
What do you mean?
can
Who are the
skip game
starters?
notes,
It's always
yeah.
It's
the
the
same
starters,
guys.
yeah.
Like, oh yeah. So I got a clip for you. If you guys don't know, the Keeping It 1000 podcast, I do it with George Karl every other week, roughly. We had the great Sandy Clough on, but George dropped this bomb on me in the show. I'm going to play it for you. Here you go, Kel.
In our presence, watching Senate now for 2 years, how blessed we are to have him. In our presence, watching a guy that's
Tatum
going to
go off
actually
tonight.
go down as a,
Yeah.
maybe top 10 player of all time.
So I don't know if you guys caught that. Slipped it in there. Talking about how lucky we are to have Nikola Jokic, how blessed we are. We've said the same thing. But what he says is, I think. He doesn't like mince the words. He does say maybe, which he kind of like hedges just a little bit. But he says, I think when it's all said and done, he's going to maybe be a top 10 player of all time. This is the boldest statement anyone has made.
Sure.
That's a former player, like people on the internet or whatever. Like, yeah, there's been people who have said crazy things about
Sometimes
every
we,
player. Like,
sometimes we hotbox it
Well,
up.
yeah,
We
yeah,
like,
sometimes
wow.
people- if you want hotter takes, just scroll the
I'm talking
timeline,
about
bro.
a reputable, NBA person who like has a reputation.
That's right.
Like George Karl has a reputation, to like say something like this. But he feels so. I mean, he loves Jokic, man. We talked to him obviously on that show, but I talked to him even just sitting here, man. That guy, he loves Jokic. Maybe a top 10 player. Your initial reaction here, Vogt?
Well, I think every Nuggets fan somehow deep down believes something like that is possible. You know, it's the kind of thing where, to be honest, I think the level that Jokic is playing at right now, so not talking about his career, the things he could do, has done, just how he's playing today. I really think, I'd be surprised if 10 people have ever played at a higher level than that, you know? But that's not the question. He's going to need to win some championships. We know that. And then it gets tricky because the center position itself, you really go through the top 5 centers alone. And and you're like, wow, that's a lot of guys that could he really pass them? Not without championships. But here's the deal. End of the day, talking about talent, how good are you at basketball? I really don't think there's very many guys that are out of his league. I mean, you know, how his career goes, so many factors, sure. But he is as talented, fellas, as anyone that I've seen, with the exception of LeBron, I guess.
So here's the funny thing is, the one thing I can say with relative certainty is I don't think Jokic is going to have a consensus top 10 career.
No, I don't think
because, for that... most of the guys that are currently, and I'm going to go through the list in the top 10, they came in with hype. They came out of high school with hype, college with hype, this and that. And I think with Jokic, part of why I love George Karl saying this is sometimes you have to move the goalposts for the rest of the world to catch up. You know, you end up winning 2 or 3 championships. You're like, he came out of nowhere. It's like, no. This was we saw this coming. He actually was really good.
Yeah.
He got even better as he was playing. Let me go through some lists here because I'm going to read you off my personal top 10, not in any order, but I'm just trying to put some of the names out here.
I hope this example gets you canceled.
Yeah,
somehow.
I don't care because I honestly I did not spend very much time on this. Yeah, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, solidified. Every single person has them in their top.
I won't
their
argue
top 10
because we're out of time.
To me, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And by the way, I'm going to break this off from 1980. Meaning, if you played in 1980 or before, but you did not play 1980 after, I just cut you out. How am I going to analyze Jerry West? How am I going to analyze Wilt Chamberlain? I have no idea. I didn't watch these guys play. Not only did I not watch them play, I didn't really watch anybody that they played against play. So trying to analyze the league.
Can't even watch footage.
At least with the 80s, at least I have a much better frame of reference for what was going on here or there.
What about the career old Whitey Wilson?
Yeah, exactly. So you got MJ, Braun, Kareem, Magic, Bird. And then after that, it gets controversial. After that, you're going to start to have different people. So I think you get top 5 unassailable for most people. You got Tim Duncan. You got Akeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal. You got Kobe Bryant. You got Steph Curry, KD, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Charles Barkley. Okay, then you start getting into that range. For Jokic to be better than those guys, what has to happen to be considered, at least legitimately considered, better than Kobe?
Question. You want to take that one, D-Line?
It's a very easy question.
Okay.
Championships. That's it.
That's all. So it's
How
just
many?
doing what he's doing, but championships.
If he plays to the right now, you can't even get people to agree that he's good.
I think you can right now. I think right now.
I don't think that's true. Have you been on Twitter?
Yeah.
So
that's why I say don't expect consensus. There's still people that think LeBron.
No. So you have we live in a world when you're talking about things that are purely, at the end of the day, subjective. I mean, there's no objective way to figure this out. But the measure that most people use and to separate one from the other is rings.
Right.
It's a rings culture. We're living in a rings culture. Jokic is as supremely talented as you say, as any person I can even imagine in basketball.
Okay.
But the awards say everything at the end of the day, and that's where people will be you get the elevator pitch for why somebody belongs in the top 10, and it's always I had 5 rings.
So let me ask this: if he has the season he had this year, he has 5 more of those, because your peak kind of starts around 27, which is where he's at, and for most people statistically it kind of lasts until maybe 30, 31, 32, give or take an arc there, an arc. And usually we're seeing, especially nowadays, players at 32 might not have a regular season number profile, statistical profile, but postseason they're still as good, if not better, than they were at those early age. So if we get that, Jokic is now in year 1 of his prime, and we get this basic performance, but he gets 1 championship ring, is he now good? Is people going to be talking about him in that way?
He would need more MVP trophies. He needs hardware of some variety.
Okay.
But I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because thinking about the hot box and hot takes and how they've aged, there was a time where multiple MVPs felt scorching. Sitting here today, is it
That's
likely?
true.
Is it likely? Well, I'll stop short of likely, but it is very much on the table. It's within reach. It could happen this year.
Right.
So
he's got 1.
if he gets 2 MVPs and a Finals MVP, people don't actually realize that statistically, it's not just what we see with the eye test.
Right.
Statistically, he is there already. Like he is on a Hall of Fame top 30 player trajectory statistically. Like in terms of raw stats, what he's done this early in his career, it is Larry Bird kind of stuff.
Right.
From the center position, some of it is Wilt cutoff kind of stuff. Maybe not. So it's really actually possible. Multiple MVPs, a Finals MVP, and let's not kid ourselves. One Finals MVP in Denver, where a team has never been to the Finals.
Right.
That is going to carry a lot of weight.
No,
And I think it should.
No. I actually think it will, because I think that there is a turning of the tide with people kind of looking at the LeBron model and just saying like, hey man, nobody thinks LeBron has done in his career is unimpressive in any way. But I think they're understanding that the rings part of that is just different. Like, okay, he had certain teams that were good that didn't get over the hump, and then he had some teams that couldn't lose that got over the hump. So it's like you kind of put that together and you go, well, was his 2017 playoffs less impressive than, say, his 2012 where they won the Finals in 5 games? Like, no, I think people now start to look at that and say, okay, maybe winning in Los Angeles on the Lakers in a league designed for the Lakers to win, maybe that actually is easier than, say, winning in a place like San Antonio or Denver or Toronto or some of this.
Is anyone going to have the run that the Celtics had in Larry Bird's era? That's not going to happen again.
No,
Almost probably,
well,
certainly.
I don't know.
Well, Golden
I don't
State
know.
did, so
Well,
let me stop myself. It's possible, but it's, again, not everyone winds up in that situation, and I just do think the average perspective on this has evolved to people recognize what a cushy situation is like versus, I mean, Facu's 6th in minutes right now, right? Like,
yeah, I think here's what I'll say.
know, but
I
like-
think Dirk Nowitzki is widely considered a top 20 all-time player. Dirk Nowitzki is, and he has one championship. And I don't know, regular season he had some great ones. Obviously, he won an MVP. Jokic has an MVP. I think Jokic projects, and maybe even currently is, I would argue currently is, better than peak Dirk in the regular season. Now, Dirk had one of the all-time great playoff runs I've ever seen in my life, maybe number one. And he came up clutch, not just once, not just twice, but like 100 times in one playoff run en route to a title. So he has one, and I've never heard anybody mention Dirk as a top 10 player of all time. So I think one, I don't think that does it.
No, not close.
I think two, you start to go, okay.
Yep.
I think there's going to be people that make the argument. I think if he has a 2 championship, continues on this trajectory. But to me, 3 championships is the number.
Yeah.
I think it would take 3 championships, including the statistical profile that he's put together, 3 championships in Denver or a similar city.
Shut up! Don't say that.
I'm just saying you can't go to Los Angeles and like.
Either way, why would you put that quote
All right,
to the
in
world?
Denver, 3 championships in
Jesus.
Denver. Scrub the internet, Kale.
Adam wants him to
Three
leave,
championships in Denver, and then I think that you would actually see a lot of people make that argument.
It's 3
Three
championships in
finals
Denver.
MVPs too. Like,
Well,
3
that's the
championships
thing,
in-
is it like-
it was him.
That's
that
not
did
an
it.
argument. If he gets 3 in Denver and he's got an MVP, he's a top 10.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, but that is what it will take. I mean,
Well, Shaq has 4. Shaquille O'Neal has 4. Kobe Bryant has 5. So these are some of the people he would have to end up passing. Steph Curry has 3. Kevin Durant has 2.
True.
So that's why I'm saying, like, it's not like 3 doesn't have precedent. Like, 3 is sort of like these guys that he's passing are at the 2-3 level.
Here, I think when I think about George's take, is Jokic talented enough to be a top 10 player?
Yes.
To me, I don't think it's that hot. But that take assumes the charmed path for you, right? This career goes the way we all hope it goes, and then some.
Right.
So a lot of things have to go right. But I honestly understand where he's coming from. When this guy retires, smarter people than I, people with a wider breadth of knowledge than I will go, are we sure there were 10 guys who were better than he was? I don't know how hot that will feel. So
I'll tell you one thing. Here's how it works. If he gets 1 championship, the conversation becomes a little bit louder about what will it take for him to be that.
Yeah.
And then after you have 2, you're talking about you get a 3rd one, you're there, you're in it, and that's how the conversation happens.
For now, I hope they beat the Pistons tonight.
I hope they beat the Pistons
that'd be
tonight.
so dope if they did that.
A couple things, though, I want to say about Jokic, though. I do think his 3-point shot, I think I said this on the Serbian podcast I did with Miroslav. By the way, check that out every weekend. Miroslav and Voya. I filled
Serbian
in for Voya
Corner.
this week.
That was a good
Serbian
show
Corner.
this
Yeah, I thought it was a great
and the week
conversation.
before, too. Sorry, Voya.
I thought it sucked the week before.
Yeah.
Just check out this last week.
I think he needs to become a better 3-point shooter to where his 3-point shot is legitimately puts fear in other teams. Like right right now they're worried about it, but it's sort of like a concession. Like, man, this guy's so tough that I might as well hope he's off tonight. If it's one of those things where it's like Dirk Nowitzki, you didn't give any breathing room to because you thought, oh, my God, he's a great three-point shooter. Jokic can get to that level. It's going to open up his game. I do think he needs to become a little bit of a better leader. I just think leadership, and not all of the guys, somebody pointed it out that not every player in the top 10 was like a great leader.
True.
But I think for Jokic, it is going to be a Tim Duncan-esque type leader. And then lastly,
everyone in the bar loved that point.
Yeah, they did love it. And then I think he honestly has to be more aggressive, which is something we saw a lot of in that Clipper game. I just want that aggression every single night. I want him to get that Kobe, MJ mentality of, I need to make a statement. Why? To myself. I just need to do it because I can.
Absolutely.
Because they don't get to have an inch.
Yeah, you don't get to just kind of traipse into the top 10. Like, you need to
storm.
You need to storm in. You need to grab it. You need to make again, because this just comes from what is the prevalent thinking.
Yeah,
sure.
You just have to change minds, and you only change minds by slapping people.
Yeah, there you go.
Vogt and I were disagreeing earlier. I changed his mind by slapping him right in the face.
That's true.
Wow, that was really that was intense.
The fastest way to change my mind.
Third segment here, guys. It's going to be a quick one because we were going to talk about who's in tonight and who's going to get benched. Like last game, no Austin Rivers and no Davon Reed, and we're going to talk about kind of self-sorted itself out. A non-COVID related illness is taking everyone out. So if we look at the second unit now, it's Facu who's going to play.
A lot.
There's no mystery. And by the way,
he's going to go
as we have referenced on the show, Facu against sub 500 teams actually been very good.
He's going to go off. Get ready, internet.
Can't wait for it.
Don't knock on wood, because if he doesn't
don't
get
knock on wood. I'm not
walking home.
So you got Facu. You've got Davon Reed. I think he's going to play.
Sure.
You've got Zeke Naji. He's going to play. Who else is there available today?
DeMarcus Cousins.
DeMarcus Cousins is going to play. I mean, you're going to get Zeke Naji. Oh, and Bryn Forbes.
Remember that? The two
wow.
guys that are on
So
our
Davon Reed, I think that's your 5 guys off the bench.
It is.
I think that's absolutely all. Is there any of those guys you feel will not play?
No, because I think Malone goes 5 off the bench tonight.
The only one is Zeke Naji. I look at Zeke Naji and I think could Malone maybe get a little cute and try to keep a 9-man rotation, but I don't think so. I think Zeke plays.
I think so too. No, I think that
Zeke needs to grab some rebounds tonight, especially at power forward. If he's not at center,
I think you got it. Like, I know the Nuggets are in get a win at a time mode, right? So we talked about this with their younger guys, but there also is, and I know it's a trap game. I'm not trying to sound naive, but there's an element of it's Detroit, right? Don't bench Zeke tonight. He needs some confidence. He needs to get on a roll. So you tell him what you told him the last 3 games, right? Hey man, rebound. Go out there, be confident.
Yeah,
he's strong, bro.
Who's the first guy in?
Bryn Forbes.
Do you think so? He comes in for Austin Rivers?
Dude, it might be Boogie.
It might be who?
Boogie.
For Jokic?
No, to go up with him.
Malone would be so crazy. Like, he shocked us all with the 3-guard little mini lads.
I could see a world where Austin Rivers goes out and Boogie Cousins comes in.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it, I guess. Isaiah Stewart will be an interesting matchup for both Jokic and Boogie because he's a hustler, man. That guy plays just super hard.
He's the kind of guy that Jokic could eat alive. Like, if he's aggressive early, he's going to overplay him a lot. But we'll see. I mean, what's not the kind of guy Jokic eats alive? So
is there a lineup you really don't want to see tonight? I mean, are we going to see Facu Forbes again? I mean, we just predicted that's the bench.
The 3-guard lineup.
Facu Bones is out.
So
well, it'll just be with Monte, I guess.
For me, it's the Facu Jokic minutes, right? Where I look at scaling Facu back. That's the first place I start. Because I get the bench stuff, and I remain of the feeling that the bench wouldn't necessarily look great without him either. So, but it's those minutes, and even those that they're not winning, where you go, why does Malone need those in there? Yeah. So scale those back. But here's the thing: what is it? 10 available guys tonight. So there's not going to be a lot of variety.
It's going to be wild, man. Another night like this. Let's open up DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. And
that's what I was looking at earlier, by the way.
Let's have Eric make us invest our money appropriately.
Well, guys, what was I looking at earlier? I was trying to figure out who Aaron Gordon was going up against. I think it's going to be Sadiq Bey.
All right.
I think I was going to say that as well.
He could shoot.
Or Cade.
He could score. He's like hot
yeah. Well, I guess we'll start at the top. That's the best place to start. Okay. Let's look at the line for this game, right? We are looking at your Denver Nuggets are having 12 points removed from their final score, minus 12.
That was the most confusing way to say that.
Have you bet before?
That's what that is.
I know. I mean,
you take 12 points away from their final total. Adam doesn't
They're
care for
12-point favorites.
They're 12-point favorites.
I'm
is
sorry,
what
Adam. I
Eric's-
was trying to use interesting sounding language.
That was very interesting.
It was interesting.
It's so interesting,
Spice
man.
up the segment.
I'm going to walk off this show. You assholes can do this.
You're doing great. I'm sorry.
Let's see.
Do you like them as 12-point favorites?
I don't know. Who cares? Who cares? What do you like?
12 is a lot of points.
I don't give a
fellas.
good goddamn what you like.
Have you ever met such a sensitive man? Have you ever met such a sensitive person?
As me,
I'm,
Eric?
I'm more
Eric.
sensitive than Eric, I think.
Unbelievable. Anyway,
what else?
But you
so
have more
I don't ever
time.
bet points, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. The Denver Nuggets heavy favorites.
Yeah.
If we look at the point totals, 217 and a half.
Man,
Did the
Pistons
Detroit
get Mundered.
Pistons arrive today into the Munderdome?
Did they arrive in the Munderdome? Man, that's a great question. I'm trying to look and see if they got Mundered. Keep talking.
Okay, so I don't like.
They've only been Mundered once over their last 6 games. They've only been Mundered, although they have scored 103 twice in that stretch.
So I mean, I don't.
Denver's so short-handed.
I don't love it. I don't
Yeah,
love it. I mean,
yeah.
you just,
Damn.
it does make the end of the game more interesting, but I don't love it. I just hate point totals. You just never know.
Okay.
This to me feels like a game that could be a blowout. Knock on wood, I suppose, but you just don't know if you get into garbage time minutes what that could result in as far as
Great
points
point.
are concerned. So let's instead look at our beloved place to look when we're betting, player props. I'm looking at Aaron Gordon today.
Really?
I think Aaron Gordon was all of the starters had a really good game last game. They all scored in double digits. Aaron Gordon, I believe, had the lowest point total, but he still scored 14 with a late 3. But he sort of is like the Denver Nuggets in that he plays amazingly, scores a lot, disappears.
Yeah,
Scores
I was going to say, I was going to look at a pattern here.
Scores a lot. And I think we're due for a little bit of an Aaron Gordon explosion.
Okay.
A Gord-splosion, if you will.
Well, no,
Will
I
you?
won't. I won't.
You won't. Okay.
So 15.5 points?
I kind of like his points. I don't know. What do you think about this? Like, I feel good about it. Like, the guys that I typically during this
They
segment
have a little bit more shooting with Barton at the 3. That's like a little bit more spacing.
Yeah, and my feeling just in general is that we always go really heavy on Jokic bets during this segment, and I
don't know
feel
about
like
today.
there's a good chance Jokic will not play the last stint of this game. So I'm a little nervous about that. So for me, it's like I'm looking at Will Barton, I'm looking at Aaron Gordon, 2 guys that sort of like to get off in games that are like this, that are sub 500 teams, that are, maybe when things get a little loose because the Nuggets have a lead, they have a tendency to they themselves play a little looser. So I like Aaron Gordon tonight. Points.
You know who I like? Facundo Campazzo, points, rebounds, and assists. 13.5. 1, you mentioned blowout potential. There's
love
only
this
10
too.
guys. He would be on the court for
He's
the
gonna
blowout
play
portion of this
30
if he
minutes
does.
tonight.
Number 2, like you give him a real center for the first time all year. He's going to have DeMarcus Cousins. That might actually unlock some of his game tonight.
What about
shooters
his
and
assists?
shooters?
There could be some. I think this could be a great assist night for him.
This might be a big assist game for Facundo Campazzo with Boogie.
Good against bad teams.
Bryn Forbes too. Also,
You
like
got Bryn Forbes out there. He's got
I
some
wouldn't-
spacing.
dude, is Bryn Forbes on the board? Bryn Forbes threes might be a place to look too. I know
I bet
that
they're going to be really
That's
high.
a man that definitely
Bryn Forbes
wants to-
1.5.
Hey, what's the
Oh, I'm taking that.
Oh,
the
let's
first
take
thing
1.5.
we
Bryn
learned?
Forbes.
That's
threes.
the
our,
lock.
Is that our lock?
That's the lock.
Bryn
Bryn Forbes
threes.
1.5.
I can't believe we're betting on
That
Facu,
man-
Bryn Forbes, and Aaron Gordon.
He's not shy.
What could go wrong?
He is
What
not
could go
shy.
wrong tonight? Let's go. We're in. You got any? You want to try to stitch together a parlay at all?
I don't know, man. I'm a little parlay.
You're a little parlayed out.
I missed a seven. I missed a
I'm telling you, it's
7-leg
just weird.
parlay
It's
by
weird, man.
1 point last game. All right, let's do it. Fuck it. Ready?
All right, what do we got? We're building a
Let me
parlay
hit
from
the
the hip.
switch. Let me hit that SGP switch.
There you go.
Go into SGP mode. All right.
Facu assists. We
Aaron
start
Gordon.
there?
Aaron Gordon. We already said we liked his points.
gonna
It's
do the same
lower
ones.
in the SGP, so we can take over 12.5 points. I
Okay.
like that. Solid foundation to begin with. Then let's look at. I like those Facundo Campazzo assists. more than I
3.5.
like his points.
Over 3.5.
I think so. I would even go 4.5. I would push it.
We're pushing ourselves here.
4.5
assists.
That already gets us to plus 160. Let's go to our bread and butter when it comes to these.
Rebounds?
The threes, dude.
Oh, the threes. Oh, that's true. You get one of each.
Monte Morris, 1-3. Nikola
right.
Jokic,
Hey,
1-3.
Monte got out of that little mini slump from 3.
Yeah. I'm not taking Jokic threes. Will Barton threes?
You're not taking Jokic 1-3?
No.
Will Barton, 1-3, yes. Okay, so that is a, let's see here. That is a, Huh?
I wish I could take Zeke Najee rebounds. I would take it tonight, but I can't.
Look, we know that this part's not as good as without Dev. We know. You're right. We're trying. We're trying, Jennifer. We're trying.
I'll tell you, I just put my parlay in. I'll read you mine. It's just a 3-picker, but I like it. Campazzo assists, 4.5. Monte a 3. Will Barton a 3.
I like it. Let's do it.
Beauty. We don't have to get crazy.
Plus 150. We don't have to get crazy. That's why we always lose our parlays. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. We're going to turn the game on. We're going to watch it. We'll be right back here in the post-game show. We'll see you guys then.